The second process group is called as planning. There are many steps that are performed in this process. A project means engagement of many people who are identified as stakeholders. They will specify the requirements, and these are all captured as we collect the requirements. So all the requirements are tabulated for future references. After collecting the requirements, the scope is defined and a scope statement is prepared. It outlines what we will do and more specifically what we will not do. So we define the project boundary and list the inclusions and the exclusions. This provides us with a good clarity. In absence of this clarity, there is a tendency to do things that are not a part of the project or skip something that's part of the project. Adding something changes the scope, impacting the schedule and the costs. So this step helps us in a big way. Once we define the scope, the next step is to create a work breakdown structure. The entire project is sliced into various components. So it is a visual representation of the project. It looks like an org structure. It is called as WBS. It's an acronym. At a glance, one can understand the scope of the project. One of the important metrics of the project is the timeline or schedule. So to prepare the timeline, we should know the activities. Hence, we start defining the activities of the project referring to the WBS. Each activity duration is determined and assigned. Example, X activity requires 10 days. So all the activities in the project follow a certain sequence. Some may follow one another or some may start simultaneously. So after the project activity durations are defined, we sequence these activities and we develop a schedule. Gantt charts, PERT diagram are now available for us for tracking the project. It surely gives us a confidence to manage projects better. The costs are also estimated in this phase, in the planning phase. The project budget is prepared with proper contingencies which takes care of the uncertainties. During the projects, we seek input to communicate with various stakeholders. So how to communicate with them is decided. So if the communication is not proper, it puts strain on the relations not only but also the entire team is demotivated. So communication plays a vital role. Planning of communication is advised. So what is done in this case? So it is when to communicate, what to communicate, whom to communicate, how to communicate. So all these aspects of communication are addressed. So there are seldom chances of some information missing out. The premise of project management is to avoid chaos by proper management. So during the course of project, many times we notice that there are certain activities that occur and we have no option but to accept it. So these are uncertainties or risks. So if we are not prepared for this, then there will be either the project will have some issues. Example, rains. Hence in the planning process, there are activities focused on identifying the risk, analyzing the risk, and planning the risk responses. So once we have the uncertainties listed along with the responses, we can address them in a better way. Procurement is another important aspect of the project. The decision whether to make or buy is taken in this phase. The overall project strategy is decided in this phase. Resources of different nature are also required in the projects. So this is not only limited to human resources but other physical resources like the office equipment, the different space, the infrastructure, all these are categorized as resources. So when to have them, that decision is important. If we have them quite early, then it is also waste of time and money. The stakeholder, as we have mentioned earlier also, I've seen, are very important. So how to engage the stakeholders so that their interest is continued in the project, that strategy has to be decided. So this is, you will notice that there is a lot of emphasis is on planning. So when you go through this process, you certainly realize that it's different.